Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about something that's been on my mind for such a long time. As you can tell by the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about being the black sheep of the family, as well as overcoming fears of being a multi-passionate person. I was actually having a conversation with my best friend, which inspired this video idea altogether. And please excuse my voice, I am a little bit sick, which means that I have to take things very slow. But I would love to get straight into today's topic. So if I'm going to be talking about navigating your feelings of being a black sheep, I have to share certain moments and certain feelings that led me to this point in my life. Growing up, I've always felt like the black sheep in some shape or form. I do feel like all of us have felt like the black sheep at some point in our lives. It really depends because some of us have felt it more than the other, or some of us have felt it for longer than another person. I'm also a little bit nervous to talk about this topic because, as mentioned before, this is something that I personally deal with on an everyday basis. It is also something that I grew up feeling my entire life. So actually putting those feelings into words is a little bit hard and complicated, but I swear I am going to be trying my best today. When I say my family, I'm speaking of my family as a whole, from my mom's side and from my dad's side. And when I say my immediate family, in case I bring that up, that of course includes my parents, my grandparents, and my siblings. So yeah, I'm gonna say that I felt like the black sheep in my family. However, I feel like me and my immediate family, we're almost like the black sheeps of the family. So I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that I'm the only black sheep of the family, because I know that my parents and my siblings have also felt the same way and the same feelings that I've felt at some point in their lives. Essentially, being the black sheep is just feeling very different, feeling like you stand out no matter what you do. Sometimes the attention falls on you more than other family members, and it also doesn't have to only resonate with just family. It could be with anywhere in the outside world. I feel like if you are a black sheep, you stand out everywhere. To give you more of a little bit of a background about me, I've always been the good girl. I've always followed rules. I used to be very interactive as a kid, and then I went through a couple of years where I was very much to myself. I was very shy, as I was always often being described. I was very much to myself. I feel like I still am very much to myself, but just in more different ways, I guess. But if we're going back in time, I was your typical kid, but then again, I also wasn't your typical kid. I feel like emotionally, I felt a lot of feelings that made me feel different. I also felt a lot of feelings that made me want to like hide myself, or I also went through a lot of moments that brought shame to me. And even fast forwarding to my teenage life, I created a small business when I was 16 years old. I started seeing the results of it when I was 18 years old. I saw a lot of orders come in. I saw a lot of money come in, money that I've never made or even thought it was possible to like even reach. While in some way, a lot of people might look at that and be like, wow, like you're doing amazing, you're doing so great. At the same time, it also brought a lot of uncomfortable feelings, and it also made me feel different because at the same time, I couldn't really relate to anyone else in my family about the things that I was going through, about the things that I was experiencing, or the way that I was feeling. And just because I brought up 3 points does not mean that it sums it all up for how I felt. Overall, I feel like I had to hide my true self in some way. I often felt very misunderstood, especially as the black sheep of the family. Overall, that led me to create a lot of limiting beliefs that held me back in life. So let's get into how we're able to navigate those feelings as the black sheep of the family, and how we're also able to overcome fears as a multi-passionate person. As mentioned before, I often felt like I had to put myself in a box because I felt very guilty for wanting multiple things in my life. If I were to describe myself, I've always been a very multi-passionate person. I'm very multi-dimensional. I also feel like I have a lot of creativity in me that I feel the need of just putting out into the world. And we put that storyline around people that follow what they're supposed to follow, essentially in quotes, because there's not really one way of doing things in life. However, I was constantly surrounding myself with people that followed the norm. They find the passion, they study it in school, and they do that for the rest of their lives, basically until you die. I constantly felt so guilty for wanting more than that. I feel like if you are the black sheep of your family, you might be able to resonate with that. There's just this inner drive that I'm not able to explain to other people, but I don't see myself just doing one thing for the rest of my life. I see myself doing multiple things that make me really happy, that makes me feel, well, that allows me to feel fulfilled. I also didn't do the norm, which was like go to college and try to figure out my career through there. As you can see, here I am sitting down making YouTube videos talking about being the black sheep. But nonetheless, social media has always been one of my biggest passions in life, which is so crazy because if you really think about it, I've been creating videos for so long, even videos that I used to not post, but that's besides the point. I felt really guilty for falling out of the norm. For such a long time, I thought that I was the only one that felt like that, which caused me to have anxiety and fears and etc, overthinking in general. But I'm gonna let you know right now that if you are feeling those feelings, there are so many people around the world that feel just the same. So accepting the fact that I wanted more for my life and that I didn't want to do the norm that everyday people do, accepting that it is okay to be multi-passionate, even if it didn't fit other people's standards of what they thought my life should look like, that alone brought me so much relief, even though it was so hard at the same time. I'm not gonna tell you that it's a piece of cake because it's not. But over time, being like, okay, Dynasty, you're just meant to stand out. Learn how to be okay with it and accept that fact. And things just started to flow a little bit easier, which is how I know that I made the right decision. Another point that I wanted to make is that you should allow yourself to try different things and explore. As a multi-passionate person, or even as a creative, you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do, but you just know that there's so much that you have to offer to the world. I feel like exploring a lot of different options allows you the freedom to be who you are at the moment and also at the same time find yourself all over again. One way that I love to do this is by listening to podcasts, reading books, watching TV shows, watching a lot of different movies. It may sound a little bit silly, but watching other people live different perspectives in life, not only does that feel very grounding to see other people's POV, but getting lost in other people's worlds through books, through movies, through shows, it is so beneficial considering that you're learning through different lenses, and it also gives you a sense of inner knowing. It's a really awesome way of figuring out what does resonate with your inner being and what doesn't. Moving further along, the third point that I wanted to make is that it is very important to go back and figure out what your inner child was most embarrassed about, what it was shamed for, or what did you secretly hide from people as a child because you didn't want to feel judged. Going back and reflecting is very important considering that as you navigate those feelings, you're also allowing yourself to embrace that inner part of you, heal, and it will also free you from your own personal limiting beliefs. Alright, so I've seen a lot of videos about being the black sheep and also being very multi-passionate, but this point that I'm about to bring up, honestly, I haven't seen anyone mention it, and second of all, it's a little bit controversial. As someone that constantly felt very lost in what to do, what path to take, what I love, what I don't love, I feel like getting a birth chart reading was very magical and life-changing for me. So if you don't already know, a birth chart, also known as your natal chart, is a snapshot of where all the planets were in their orbit the moment you were born. Your birth chart tells a story, your life story of what your soul came here to do and learn and become. This part has a lot to do with astrology, but I feel like astrology plays such a big influence in our everyday lives that you don't even notice. The reason why getting a birth chart reading was very life-changing for me was because it helped me navigate those feelings of being uncomfortable and the not knowing, but at the same time it also made me learn to just trust in the not knowing, if that makes sense. I feel like that was a very hard point. Going back to when I was younger, growing up, I used to want to do so many different things, and I also wanted to express myself in so many creative ways. One of those ways was through being an actress, which is something that I wanted to pursue at some point in my life. The next one would be becoming a singer. Like, there was a point in my life where I actually thought I was going to be a singer because I loved singing. It's something that I still love to do from time to time, probably not as much as I used to when I was younger, but I love singing. I feel like singing and music describe things that I wasn't able to naturally express with my words, which is why I resonated so much with music. And so growing up, I used to sing so much in this house that I'm currently in. I also remember at some point in my life, my parents asked me, and all, as well as like other family members, they would be like, oh my god, like, you sing so well, why aren't you singing? And when I got a birth chart reading, I found out that I'm a Leo rising, and if you don't know anything about Leo rising, baby, the attention just falls on us naturally without even wanting it. So me expressing myself creatively through music was just, it gets attention. It naturally got a lot of attention from my family, considering that it looked like one of my passions. But honestly, as a child and as a Leo rising, all I ever wanted and still want is to just be seen and recognized for my creative gifts. And to me, what that looked like was through singing, which was one of the first ways that I expressed myself creatively. Another way was trying to pursue acting. A different way was also trying to build a business and creating skincare that brought solutions to my eczema prone skin. And even now, creating videos for you guys and just talking about my life lessons, my stories, and giving you guys my personal take on certain topics. That is one of my biggest passions in life, and to be recognized and seen for that, do you know how happy that makes me? It truly brings me so much joy. And going back to the whole astrology situation, I did not know that I felt like that and that I was navigating those feelings because I was a Leo rising. So getting a birth chart reading gives you so much clarity, and it also allows you to pull inspiration from the things that you actually want to do in your life. I feel like seeing on the table exactly what the stars already have to offer you in this world, it gives you a lot of inspiration, while at the same time it also gives you the free will to pick whatever, it's there. That is why I'm a big believer in astrology, and also my best friend is an astrologer. I am gonna be plugging her information because she is so freaking good. Like, she's such a huge part of my journey, and I'm so thankful to have her, not only as my best friend but also as my astrologer. She finally took the opportunity to open her business and finally give readings to other people, and I have to plug her in because she's that good. And I also feel like she's gonna be very helpful in case you need help navigating your own personal story, whether it is through career, through love, or anything else. I'm gonna be leaving her information on the description box as well as somewhere here on the screen. So yeah, that is one tip that is very out of the ordinary, but it also helped tremendously in my life. This next point is something that I take very serious and something that's very personal to me. Do you know how many people I hear on a daily basis that think that just because you're 40 that, oh, it's too late to go back to school, it's too late to start this business, it's too late to do this or to do that. Honey, the world is your oyster. Like, what are you talking about that it's too late to start doing the things that you love in your life? Like, this is your life. You know what's something that has helped me in my life? When I'm sad or when something really sad happens to me and I want to instantly change my mindset and, you know, feel good for my well-being, but let's say I'm mad about something and I'm just letting it roll on the entire day and I'm freaking over it, I just want to be done with it. This is my life. This is my brain. These are my thoughts. I can change whatever I'm thinking if I wanted to. You know when you're arguing with someone through text? I don't really argue with people, but I felt called to bring up this point. So you're arguing with someone and they're just not getting your point. And you're like, this is my phone. Like, I'm just gonna block this person. That's exactly the mode that I want you to get yourself into whenever you're thinking that negative belief about yourself, that you're too old or that it's too late to actually start doing the things that you love in your life. Yes, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's gonna be easy, because something that is worthwhile having is never gonna be easy, even if it looks like an overnight success. It's always gonna take some work and also putting yourself through uncomfortable situations. And once again, you don't want to be on your deathbed thinking to yourself, wow, like, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that. And the reason why I bring up being dead is because, first of all, that's where we're all going and heading one day. When my 16-year-old brother died, and yes, I'm always gonna bring him up probably in every single video because I learned so many lessons through that. My world felt like it completely fell apart and I had nothing else to live for. And everybody else's lives went on. And you're telling me that you're running your life based on what other people are going to think about you, when they're probably going to be so busy living their lives that they're not even going to remember you? That's what's actually crazy to me. So if people are going to forget about you in a year after you've died, why are we spending so much time giving people the power of running our lives while we're still here? In hindsight, it truly makes no sense. Recently, I was watching a video on YouTube, and it was a podcast episode that invited Sabrina Carpenter to talk about her album and just the making of it. Talking about the album is not really like the point that I'm trying to make, but there was something that she said that stood out to me, because she kept mentioning that she herself is an asshole, and I'm like, why does she keep saying that she's an asshole? But she keeps saying that because she mostly gives people the same energy that they give to her, and truly 9 times out of 10 she just doesn't care. Something else that she mentioned that also caught my eye a lot was that she is the youngest child in her family. I think she's the youngest of 4 or 3 sisters, correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, I was thinking about this and I was reflecting in my own life, like, maybe we should start being assholes. Like, maybe we should just start not caring. I feel like as the oldest daughter between my mom and dad, I am so hard on myself, and I want to start reprogramming my mind to thinking more of like the youngest child, where they don't care, they're very carefree, they're down for the vibe. Sometimes they live day to day and it benefits them, like it suits them and makes them happier, versus the oldest daughter, me. I'm always trying to be a control freak. I'm very scared about being perceived. Why don't we start being more assholes, and why don't we start acting more like the youngest child? Of course, without harming other people or hurting other people's feelings. It's our turn to embrace who we are, and it is also our turn to be seen. As a black sheep of the family, and also as such a multi-passionate person, we hold so many gifts inside of us that we have to show the world what we're actually made of. For example, me, like, I love creating these type of videos. I love giving advice. I love sharing my personal take, even if sometimes they might be received as controversial. I love growing as a person, and I also love achieving things that I never once imagined could be possible for me. This is your sign that it is your time to shine. This is the end of this video, my love. I hope that as a black sheep of the family and as a multi-passionate person, this video resonated with you on some deep level. It was something that's been in the back of my mind for so long, but it took me a really long time to actually put all of those feelings into words. So here we are. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and on Instagram, as I am very active over there. And please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe in case you would love to see more videos like these. Let me know in the comments if there's anything specific that you personally resonated the most with, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Mwah. Bye!